Right, okay, so hello Year 10s. So just very quickly as a quick exercise for this lesson, and it will build up to more context and the language and structure and form of My Last Duchess. But having taught it before, I've noticed that people tend to get a little bit confused about what's going on in the poem. Who does what where, who are the characters? Sometimes some people find it a little bit difficult to follow. So what I'm going to do is hopefully give you some kind of understanding about what happened before the poem, so that when we look at the poem in more detail, you're able to put things into place more easily. And to do that, I've been using some of this Lego. So I've got a cast for this poem. Here, I have got the main guy, the Duke of Ferrara. He's important and he's a bit of a nasty character. I've got here his last Duchess. She has a painting of her. Um, and here I've got an artist, Fra Pandolf. He's mentioned in the poem. And also mentioned in the poem another artist, this time a sculptor, Klaus of Innsbruck. Innsbruck is where he's from. And here's his best work, possibly. It's a statue that Klaus made, and it's of Neptune, the god of the sea. And he is taming a seahorse. It's a wonderful statue that Klaus has chiselled out. Actually, no, he didn't chisel it. He cast it in bronze, I should say. And here, another character that comes later on, is a generous and rich count. And he, working for him, has this man, the count's representative. You can also call him an envoy. And the count has a gorgeous daughter. There she is. And there's also a white mule who features in the poem, and also an officious fool. So we've got quite a cast. And really, before the poem begins, all of these have had a little part to play. So the first thing that happens is this, that the Duke of Ferrara gets married. And he gets married to the Duchess, the My Last Duchess. And she's happy. Look at her smiling. She smiles at everything. Everywhere she goes, she just smiles. I love you. I love the camera. I love that thing over there. I love everything. Yeah, that's the kind of character that she was. She smiles at everything. So the Duke got a painter in. Here's a painter, Fra Pandolf his name is. You can see that he's holding a palette and a paintbrush, and because the Duke is so rich, he said to the painter, could you just paint a picture of my beautiful Duchess for me? And so Fra Pandolf did just that, and then there exists this wonderful, beautiful and very lifelike painting of her, the Duchess. So that's kind of him, Fra Pandolf, out of the story a little bit. So put him over there. And the next character that I want you to know about is this guy. He's holding a chisel and a knife, strangely, but actually he's not a weapon holder. He's actually an artist. He's a sculptor, and he was commissioned by the Duke to cast a beautiful statue in bronze of Neptune taming a seahorse. So we can take Klaus of Innsbruck out of the story. So the Duke decided to put this statue of Neptune taming the seahorse somewhere near the top of his stairs. This is his house, by the way. So let's come down the stairs and along here, and now we can look at this guy. He's a generous count. And actually I should actually go back first of all over here. Let's just explain a little bit before we get to the count about the Duchess. She was so happy that she used to go around on a white mule, and she rode around the terrace quite a lot. She was happy, she was loving it, she smiled at everybody and everything. Once she even smiled at an officious fool who actually bought her a bough or a branch of a cherry tree. There she is, smiling at him. Oh, isn't that a lovely cherry tree bough you've just bought me? Thank you, you officious fool. I really love you for that. I'm smiling at everybody and everything. Well, it turns out that this guy, the Duke, married to her, didn't like the way that she was just smiling at everything and everybody. So he gave some commands. And the commands that he gave kind of got rid of her. Yeah? So she's gone. And, you know, sinister though it is, this Duke of Ferrara was then without a wife. That's how it was. So later, but still before the poem, a generous count is thinking, well, who can my daughter marry? I'm after somebody to marry my daughter, because she is gorgeous and she doesn't deserve to be on her own for a whole life. Well, the Duke was, you might say, fairly interested in this new, possibly next Duchess. So the Count says to his special envoy, oh my God, everybody's falling over. Let me just stand them up again. Right, so the envoy, this is a man who works for the Count, says, okay, right, so I will go and check out the house of the Duke, and I'll go and have a look around, and the Duke can show us around, and what you can do is you can wait downstairs. So there downstairs, I'm thinking probably is possibly the next Duchess, and also maybe stood up in an armchair somewhere in the living room is the Count. So they are waiting. Meanwhile, upstairs you have, let's just trot him upstairs, you have the Duke. There is the Duke of Ferrara upstairs, and he is speaking to the Count's worker, this guy here, and he uncovers a painting of his last Duchess on the wall. Yeah, that is actually a painting. It's not a hole in the wall with a real body in it. It's a painting, and basically the Duke says to the worker, the Count's envoy, why don't you just sit down and look at the painting, and I can tell you all about our marriage. And the whole poem comes from this moment and from this floor upstairs. Actually, the roof is falling in. That doesn't happen in the poem, but never mind. But either way, this man here, the Duke, utters the whole of the dramatic monologue, the whole poem, at this very moment, and it ends just as he and the envoy are going to go downstairs and they notice this statue on the way down. So I'm going to give you a few questions, like a little kind of worksheet on that, and I'll post it with this homework, with this video link, and then we can get onto context and language and structure next lesson. Thank you very much.